Hey, I'm Aqua, or Aquarius of Fallen Snow if you don't know me. Welcome to the channel if this is your first time here, and welcome back if you've been here before. So this is going to be a bit of a different video, once a year kind of video, because this is going to be a year in review video. I'm going to go over the content I was posting this year and look at the progression I've had so far. And I'm doing this video as much for you as it is for me, because I hope to look back on this video in a few years after I've been doing YouTube and making even more music, and just kind of see how I've progressed not only in the content that I'm making, but as an individual. So in this video, I'm going to be going over my YouTube and Soundcloud as well as DistroKid to look at the videos I was posting as well as the music, but I think I'll leave out the Instagram and the TikTok for now. If you guys do want to see me review those and what I've been posting over the past year on those apps, let me know in the comments of this video and I'd be happy to do one of those videos. Alright, so first we're going to start on YouTube here. And if you notice, down here, posted this first video, DIY custom stickers, on the 21st of February of this year. So you can see that I haven't been posting too much on YouTube, but I hope to do more in the future and make this one of my main feeds. Just looking at these first few videos that I posted, I can tell that they were meant for Instagram and TikTok beforehand, and then I re-uploaded them. But I'm glad that now I'm making content that's specifically meant for YouTube. And then as I was talking about recently, I'll be starting streaming on YouTube as well, so look out for those. But yeah, the DIY custom sticker video was definitely fun to make. And then, as you can see, the next video I posted on the 27th of February, Misconceptions About Weed, Tobacco, and Smoking, I think that is kind of the predecessor, the precursor to my podcast, you know? You can see it's one of the longest videos at the time that I had posted on my YouTube channel. Not till June did I actually post the first episode of the podcast. So that's pretty cool to see. I was doing a lot more of the quote posts before. You can see I had the weed bonsai video, which unfortunately now I don't have the plant, so I can't keep doing that series. I think it was a good idea, but I didn't have the time or the energy to dedicate to it specifically. So unfortunately I can't keep going with that, so I just privated the first video, right? But yeah, you can see some of this content that was made for platforms like Instagram and TikTok I reposted on here. Some of them are a bit longer. And then yeah, on April 28th, I posted the first video asking, can people guess how much my groceries cost? Which I recently posted the second one of those on my TikTok, so go check that out at Aqua.ofs. I'll make sure my link tree is in the bio of this video. But that was going along with the Bird a Proud Dad video that I posted, and I explained in the recent grocery TikTok that I posted that the reason for it was because he said he spent a bunch of money on groceries and nothing of nutritional value was on sale, which I proved again was false. And then the response to this recent video was pretty good as well, so I'm pretty happy with that series of videos, how it's going. As we move up here, what are we? What is God? I retitled this video to try and get some views because unfortunately nobody wanted to click on that. That's alright. It's just one of those things that happens with content creation. Sometimes you have videos that you either title improperly or they don't get the traction and then they end up with 0 views. But that's okay. And especially because that content was made for other platforms, I understand. But I'm happy to see that the first episode of the podcast has 14 views. That's awesome. And then you can see by the title of this first podcast episode, and 33 minutes right on the dot. That's crazy. That's one of those Freemason numbers. Relinquish expectation of the title of the podcast because I didn't really have a direction for it to go. I just kind of wanted to talk and get stuff off my mind, off my chest, and put it into a long form video content for, I guess, more of the harder to digest or harder to explain ideas or concepts that were on my mind that I couldn't put in either my music or short form content like Instagram and TikTok. And then if we move to the second page here, you can see that I was going hard, dropping lots of podcast episodes, trying to build a catalog and really get a feel for the podcast and an understanding for not only making the videos but posting them to YouTube and that process, which I think I've got a pretty good handle on now. And you can see that I wasn't titling them at the start because I kind of wanted it to be a surprise for people to just click on it out of pure curiosity rather than being able to read a title and judge a book by the cover, right? And you can see as I'm moving through here that I did have a lot of episodes where I just wanted to talk and it's like talking to myself, but it's also like a form of therapy which I highly suggest going back to watch through those if you want relatable content or you just want to hear more about my life and my experience up to this point. And it wasn't actually until August 15th of this year that I posted my first guest episode and started properly naming my podcast. But yeah, you can see they were all pretty close together here. I talked to Jay, Jazz, and Shaq, and they're 3 friends I enjoy talking to every time I get the chance, and I finally started recording conversations with my friends. So you can see after the guest episodes, I started working on the Vegas Fear message breakdown, which I had a lot of fun doing that. I think I devoted way more time to it than I maybe needed to necessarily, but I knew that I was recording it, making content, because this is when I was streaming on Kick, and you can see it's a Kick stream re-upload. Here, I'll highlight the title there. So I did this to make content out of it, and a lot of the messaging, it's really interesting, the things that it was saying in there. It's a whole theory in itself, like why it happened or what it's trying to allude to, what it's trying to talk about. But yeah, I think I got it pretty much sorted by the end of it. You can see I posted a finale on September 21st of this year, and it had a bunch of different documents and graphs all put together of the words with it color coordinated and organized in different ways to make different messages basically, right? So if you're into the theory videos or you've seen the Vegas Fear pop up on social media earlier this year, I have videos breaking down that message and kind of giving you a better idea of what I think it's talking about in that. And you can see by the times there, I think I put around 10 hours towards this. So I think I have a pretty good idea of what I'm talking about in here. I also found where the video was taken from, and it kind of gives more context to the video, and it adds to the theory and the lore behind it. And you can see before I did the finale to that series, I posted another episode of the Shit Shooting Gallery and proceeded with ambiguous names or no titles at all to see if people would be curious enough to click on them without needing a title. Which you can see the theory isn't really panning out with those because they weren't getting that many views, and I started adding a title, which I think does help not only intrigue new viewers, but also give some context to what we're talking about in the episodes in case people aren't necessarily interested in the topics that I cover. As we move up here, I did start titling the episodes on September 26th. I dropped Going Crazy, Seeing Through the Illusions, basically talking about the same kind of concepts I go over in my song Pushing Against Oppression, which I just dropped a lyric breakdown video for. So if you're looking for new music and you like hip hop and rap and all that good stuff, I highly suggest checking that out. That'll be on my link tree as well in the description of this video. You can definitely see how I was going through the hills and the valleys of life and how I wanted to talk about that and put it into the content I was making. And on October 1st of this year, I posted Feeling Lost But Finding My Way, which would be another solo podcast episode talking about how I'm feeling better, both mentally and physically, and how I'm getting more of a grasp on where I want to go with the content I'm making in the future, right? As we keep going into October, I was posting more theory videos talking about the Mandela effect, NASA, gaslighting, UFOs, and the Kubrick, Armstrong, and Werner von Braun footage of the faked moon landing that they recorded and showed to people. So lots of crazy stuff in there. And if I go back up here, it's still privated, but I have a podcast episode dropping with Danny C, or This Ego Waffles, talking about that kind of stuff and diving even deeper into those concepts. And that's an absolutely crazy episode. I can't wait for it to drop and you guys to see that. But again, this is the year in review, so if you want to get more context leading up to that point, I highly suggest going back and watching the episodes. But yeah, keeping it going here, more podcast episodes, and then you can see that I posted a Kick rap show highlight video with the best moments from my Kick live stream where I was rapping live on Kick. Unfortunately, those VODs are down off Kick now because they only last a month up there if you don't clip them. So this is the only way to go back and see that footage now if you want to get an idea of both the music I make as well as what it would be like to see me perform them live. I think those are really fun, and you can see October 11th I posted another one that was a part 2, as well as some more solo podcast episodes before that. At the tail end of the year here, I did a story time video talking about my time working at the gas station from the Silent Hill movie. And it's kind of funny how that came up because I just remembered one day some guy told me about it, but I never ended up watching the movie or looking into what he was talking about. until recently, and then I decided to make a storytime video about it as content, right? But no, I think that's an awesome part of my lore as a person, as a character online, and it's kind of fun to tie into other universes and pull from other content, because I love connecting content. Like you can see in this Connecting the Dots video that I posted on November 11th, Remembrance Day. That's actually such a crazy synchronicity, I didn't even realize. But it's talking about the history of World War II and how it seemed like a psyop and a false flag attack to set up the World Banks and Israel, but I get into that more in the video if you're interested in that kind of stuff. So as we go further into November, you can see I was doing more podcast episodes, a solo episode, and then I had a guest episode with Ben from Ebb and Flow, but unfortunately I got taken down because of a blip we said, and that's what this video is talking about. But then I made sure to edit it and re-uploaded it for you guys, so that is still up on the channel if you want to watch it. I guess it's a bit more of a controversial episode considering it's talking about politics and the state of the world, but I thought it was a great conversation with a great friend, and at the end we do get back onto the topic of unity and consciousness and all that great stuff. But going back down, you can see I did my first lyric breakdown video for Spaceman on November 27th, and then the lyric breakdown video that I posted recently for Pushing Yes Depression is the second one, and I think I'll keep doing more of those in the future, kind of like a Genius style video. I go in depth on my songs and breaking down the bars, and then at the end I give the context of where my head was at for writing those songs. At the end of November, you can see this episode is privated, but this one was on unlisted to see how the reaction would be and how it would perform, and I had to change up some audio, so I ended up releasing this later, which you can see I also posted a trailer to, and here it is talking Flat Earth with Ira, or Proxy Earth. But we'll go back down, that's jumping ahead a little bit. I just wanted to explain why this episode of the podcast is privated, especially with the title of it, right? But I was having a few issues here, you can see with the podcast episode with Ben being removed, but I made sure to make a video explaining that. So now, getting into December, I reposted a Skate 3 montage that I had posted on TikTok, I'm pretty sure, because I wanted to archive it, and I put a decent amount of work in, so I wanted to have that on the YouTube channel, both for a bit of lore and because I enjoyed the montage, right? A little 2-minute banger. As we keep going into December here, I had a decent amount of guest episodes. It was awesome. I recorded the second podcast episode with Jazz, and we were talking about the hills and valleys of life, as you can see from the title. I reposted the podcast episode with Ben, talking about politics and the world, and then I did a solo episode talking by myself about music and ancient technology, spirituality, all that cool stuff. More the hippie side of stuff. As we get to December 6th, on December 6th, I dropped the trailer for the podcast with Ira, talking about Flat Earth. I feel like it deserved to be hyped up a little bit. It is kind of a charged topic and conversation, right? The next day, December 7th, I dropped a video for new artists going over how to build a catalog and how to start promoting it. Obviously, that's the stage I'm at in my career. I can't really give too much more insight on how to make it big or anything like that, but I thought it'd be a good video to put up because it should stay relevant no matter when you're watching it, whether you're a newer artist or one that's even a bit further in their career and maybe feeling a little bit lost and they want to get back to the basics. So December 13th, Friday the 13th, 2024, I dropped the Flat Earth episode talking about manipulative science, alchemy, and reality with Ira. On the 19th, I did a solo episode talking about bridging the gap between the two, and coincidentally, on the 22nd of December, I dropped an episode of the podcast with Bjorky, or I Am Day Raj on YouTube and other social medias, talking about religion, art, and the arc, source, and kind of getting the other end of the conversation or the spectrum in terms of spirituality and the things that we see around us. Again, another great conversation. I'm so glad and appreciative of all the people that have been on my podcast and wanted to come on and have a conversation with me. I think they've all turned out awesome so far, and I'm excited to see who I can have on in the future and what kind of conversations I can have with the guests that I've already had on and see where those go in the future. But getting to the most recent videos I posted, December 29th and now January 1st. The first was, is psychopathy linked to nepotism, power, and incest? Basically a theory that I'm cooking up or I've had for a while, talking about the people in power, and is there a connection directly, whether genetically or environmentally, between psychopathy and the people in power? And basically what my research shows kind of points to backing up my theory, but I highly suggest you check this out because I also go in depth with research on other mental states and conditions and legal terms to give people more insights on this topic with a broad view, not just my perspective and trying to hammer that home, right? And then the most recent video to start the new year, breaking down the lyrics to my new song, Pushing Against Depression, which is out everywhere. That being said, let's switch over to checking out my SoundCloud and look at what I dropped in terms of music in 2024. And I'm going to start with the albums because I didn't do too many singles. But 10 months ago, around February or March, I dropped A Frozen Over Globe, Anthony and the Killick Cult. Here's the description of the EP, with cover art by yours truly. You can see this first project had 14 tracks, and I started with the grittier, more aggressive sounding ones, leading to the more happier ones, with some, sadder, more slow, emotional ones in the middle. But as you can see, all the beats were produced by Anthony. That's the whole point of these EPs with the producer's name in them, is that all those beats are produced by one person. And then trying to give them the credit they're due, because unfortunately I don't have the money to be able to pay them for these projects, but they're gracious enough to let me use their beats to create the music that I have in my head. So I'm super thankful to them as well as the people who come on my podcast. And who knows, maybe one day I'll be able to do a podcast episode with one of my producers. And I'll take a second to also say thank you to Old Banks. Same idea with this EP, released in 2023. Only 10 tracks, but they are 10 tracks of pure gold. I had so much fun making this, and the sound of this EP is so crazy. Like, if you listen to this top to bottom, all my projects have a different feel to them, but this one was so unique as a hip-hop rap EP that it can't be beat, man. I would say A Frozen Over Globe and the deluxe that I dropped lean more towards Suicide Boys-esque, darker, grittier style, more of what people know already from the underground, with Anthony's spin on those beats. I feel like Old Banks is really like a Picasso with the beats. Like, he's really reaching and finding new ways to express like these sounds, and the samples he's finding are incredible. And I'm looking to do more experimentation in 2025 and in the future coming up to get more different sounding EPs and pieces to really build out the catalog to show that I am versatile as an artist. So at the start of 24, I dropped A Frozen Over Globe, and then 3 months later, when the Kendrick and Drake beef first started popping off, I dropped the Discography EP. So I made a track to explain the purpose of this EP, because I could understand how it might be a little complicated for people just seeing me diss all these people or the industry and then myself, and not really understand my thought process behind it. But basically, I was talking about how in rap, the whole point is to, play king of the hill. Whoever's at the top, you gotta go for them to prove that you are the best, and that's kind of the game. But then I also talked about the ego and how people can let the ego and the game control them rather than them controlling their spot in it, right? And then I wanted my piece of the pie in terms of getting my shot out there at Drake, at Kendrick, and J. Cole for not participating in the beef, and then the whole industry, because I think there's individuals in all genres, as well as the people who run the whole thing, that deserve to be dissed more than Drake or Kendrick or J. Cole. And then lastly, I did a diss about myself and the idea of diss tracks in general. Trying to look at it from the Bob Marley perspective of it's all love, more life. Why can't we come together to make great music instead of just hating on each other? But like I explained in the explanation track for the EP, that's kind of the nature of the game of rap. And that's not to take away from what Kendrick was saying, because I feel like he really was trying to put some crucial information out there just from his own point of view. And part of my whole grief with this is that Kendrick was only dissing Drake or the people around Drake, but if somebody like me tried to diss him, who's a nobody, in a sense he doesn't have to react or care, but I wanted to put my piece out there so that people can go back, like I'm doing right now, over the years, and really analyze or dissect it and try to figure out what I was saying, or realizing that I was the best way back then, right? In my humble opinion. Because that is the nature of the game, right? Don't hate the player, hate the game. So this whole EP was kind of a 5D chess move in my opinion. And then moving to the more recent EP, the deluxe of the Frozen Over Globe, I doubled the tracks on it, added some skits. This one is basically the closest thing I've gotten so far to an album, and I loved it. Unfortunately, my mixing and mastering wasn't the best, I know. I'm working on both my executive production and my mixing and mastering to try and get the best quality sounding tracks I can. And then I also had a chip on my shoulder of people telling me they couldn't hear or understand what I was saying in my tracks, so I purposely boosted the vocals louder than the beats in some songs to kind of show people like, okay, well, here's what I'm saying. As you can see by the views, obviously that doesn't matter too much. It matters more if people want to listen to it or if they see the vision and the project you're trying to make, right? But I can't be upset. My numbers are rising slowly but surely, and I'm getting my name out there. I'm building my catalog and doing what I love. And I think soon, eventually, people will see what I'm trying to get out there and see the message that I'm trying to put into my music and how I'm trying to express myself as an artist. And hopefully I'll get my flowers before they're sitting on my gravestone, you know what I mean? Knock on wood, you know? So, moving over to my track section, or the singles section, I'm seeing that these are saying a year ago, so I'll just kind of go from here. Sorry that the name's kind of messed up on my profile. Some of the older tracks, it doesn't like the font I use for my name, I guess, so it has trouble loading it sometimes, and I message SoundCloud support, but they haven't gotten back to me, of course. But yeah, I'll just kind of go over some of the singles that I did and the Pitch Pirate EP, which I didn't talk about yet. But Golden Change was fun. Shout out to my friend Meg, who did the cover art. Looks amazing. Here, I'll even pull it up a bit bigger for you so you can see. They did great work on it, and then I added the tags there. That one's more of a melodic singing kind of song. And then moving up, we see the Pitch Pirate EP, which is an EP of tracks that I did, a bunch of remixes with popular songs with well-known artists that I had to pitch up or down depending on the track. Sometimes I had both, like you can see for the Cortex track. But basically, it's to show people what I would sound like on these artist tracks as a feature. If they want to hear how it sounds, they can download the tracks and mess with the pitch themselves to practice producing even. But yeah, I have to say, one of my favorite tracks, and it's reflected in the views and the likes, was the Walking remix that I did. Honestly, I was so happy with how this turned out. And you can see by the cover here, it is AI generated, but I was having fun playing with that. The whole EP isn't meant to be taken too seriously. It's closer to a mixtape than an EP or an album. But I had a lot of fun practicing my production skills on it, right? And then yeah, you can see here, I dropped some remastered tracks. I had some help from a homie I was working with at Loblaws at the time, and he took these and tried to do some work to them, clean them up for me, but unfortunately, because of the quality of my mic and how the track sounded when I first released them, I don't think too much changed. I can hear it a little bit, but I don't know if the average person can. So I kind of released those as just like, you know, they're remastered. If you want to hear the original, that's up. If you want the remastered, that's there. And then same thing with Tonight and Spaceman. Then moving forward, here are two singles that I dropped and did myself. One is an older track from like 2019 or 2020 that I finally recorded and put out. And you can see by the cover art, I did the expanded version. So when you play the song, you can kind of admire the skyline and as it plays, you know. That's kind of an OG feature that I remember talking to friends about that and not knowing how to do it or where to go to set it up. And now that I know how to do it, if somebody asked me, I'd explain it to them. But now it's kind of like showing that I'm an OG and I know how to do it on SoundCloud, right? I didn't do that with The More I Grow, but I did paint the cover art and then I did the collage style letters. And I did it by hand. So all those letters are cut out and put over a painting I did by hand. And that's the same with the Tonight cover art, Herbs and Lumber, as well as the cover art for Cruisin'. And then after those, I dropped the Frozen Over Globe EP. So you can see with the original cover art here. Then I got into the discography EP, you know. Frozen Over Globe was 10 months ago. The discography was 7. And some of these pictures are hilarious. Freezing over the industry in a way, right? And you can see here I had to re-upload this and do the Pitch Pirate method to it because somebody claimed it, claiming that the BBL Drizzy beat was theirs and it wasn't Metro. So, you know, that's kind of a pain in the ass and it doesn't sound as good because the original sounded banger. But I'm sure it was part of Drake's team or somebody who wanted to try and capitalize on the whole thing, but, you know. It's pretty lame. I still put it back up because fuck them. I want it up and it's gonna go up. They can't do anything about a pitched up mixtape version of that track, basically. And then you can see 6 months ago I dropped the deluxe. Other than that, I have a few tracks that I dropped within the past 2-3 months. I Do It By Myself was a single. You can see that Anthony was the producer again, and I did that trick with having the full cover art come up, right? Like that. And then if I click here, you can see it takes up the whole background of the track. Next, also 2 months ago, these released around the same time, around Halloween. No Heart in It, which was a feature track with Netic the Narcissist. Unfortunately, I probably won't do any more collabs with him, but I got the one out there, and it's a collab on my page, which this might be the first feature track I've had on my whole SoundCloud. I think I've done features on other people's SoundCloud, and now they've been taken down because, you know, burning bridges and all that shit, but you know, wanted to drop it for Halloween, and I think it was a great track to, you know, go with the time of year. And since then, the only tracks newer than that are Pushing Against Depression, both the explicit, the normal version, and a clean version. And this cover art I also did, not by hand, but with Pinterest actually, because I have a great collage feature, and I basically did this, testing that out, and made this cover art, which I think it turned out pretty great. If I do say so myself, pat myself on the back, right? And then yeah, there's my SoundCloud. There's my YouTube. If you type in Aquarius of Fallen Snow, it'll pop up with a topic. So on YouTube, if you type in my name, the channel will come up. But then if you scroll down to the topic, you'll find my music. And this is basically just the page that DistroKid made for my music to put up. And it goes on here. All of these are the tracks that are on all platforms. And if I click on View All and scroll here, you can see I have a pretty good section of my catalog. So like I said when I was talking about the video I made for artists, I'm getting good at building a catalog. Now I'm getting into the marketing and advertising part of it, and working on getting the stuff that I'm creating out to the world. And like I said at the start of this video, I only wanted to go over my YouTube and SoundCloud, or my videos and my music. But if you want to see me go over my Instagram and TikTok, and or my threads and my Substack, let me know in the comments of this video. I'd be happy to do it. But I think this is a good place to set this one down for now. I think I covered everything I want to, and hopefully this will be a good video for myself to look back, as well as you guys, on the progress I've made, not only in this year, but then in the years to come, and to look back on myself as the younger version of myself, right? And in a sense, I'm saying hello to my future self, because hopefully I'll be watching this back and be able to go, yeah, good job me for starting now. I can, you know, pat myself on the back from the future. You know, we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I think this is a good place to set it down, and I hope that you guys enjoyed it. And if you did, make sure you drop a like on the video and subscribe. Not only to join the family and help build the community, but and then you don't miss the next video that comes out, right? It could be a podcast episode, a theories video, rap show highlight, song lyric breakdown. Possibilities are endless at this point, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it. But until then, I'm gonna leave this one here. You know what I always say, I love you, stay safe, good luck, easy, and happy New Year's, happy 2024, welcome to 2025, end of the calendar year. The real New Year's doesn't start till the spring equinox, and all the stuff is coming back to life. I didn't mention that at the start of the video, but thought I'd sneak that in at the end here. But yeah, I gotta finish this one up here. I'll say it again, I love you, stay safe, good luck, easy.